you want to do this, John, where we wave a bunch and then be like, we're done, and then you don't have to...
Yeah, could you guys all wave at the screen so I can see that you guys are waving at the screen? Oh, good. That'll be perfect for the intro of the next episode.
Okay. All right.
You guys look like a bunch of jokes.
Welcome to episode 12 of the Geek Savants. I'm Dave DeWalsh.
I'm super ugly.
Brett Miller.
Ryan Roberts.
Ronzo.
Yeah, Ronzo's in the house.
Ronzorb is not in a house.
Ronzo's
Markham.
We don't talk about Ronzo.
Ronzorb's kids had enough of watching French silent cartoons. They had him committed to an asylum.
Damn you, Dad.
Oh, he's like literally like, he's so insane. He's drinking a bottle that I can't see. He's all.
You're the fake bottle.
It's a. Wait, oh wow, you can't even see it.
Sure it is, Ron. Sure it is. Whatever you say.
It's ecto cooler though. No, not ecto cooler.
Don't play with my emotions.
So, guys, we had a whole topic. We had something planned, and then we got like swerved because
we got daved. We got real daved. That's for sure.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So here's the thing: HBO Max launched this past week, and they announced that they were going to release the Snyder Cut of fucking Justice League.
What's that, Dave?
What? Do you not know about the Snyder Cut? Okay.
What's that, Dave?
So the Snyder Cut, here's the thing. I'm going to give you a little history lesson.
Is this a circumcision thing?
No.
No.
Is he Jewish? I don't know. Grant.
I don't know.
Is he one of yours? I don't know.
Hey, I'm going to give you the Snyder Cut.
So, here's the thing about the Snyder Cut. So Zack Snyder was the guy that was responsible for Superman, Man of Steel, and Batman v Superman. And then DC really backed Snyder for, he was the guy for he was the Kevin Feige basically of DC Universe, where Kevin Feige was the Marvel architect. Really, really dark shit. He also did Watchmen. We all loved Watchmen, but Watchmen doesn't really work for DC, yet it kept going. The Nolan Batmans happened, which made everything should be dark, so they brought Snyder in to make everything dark. And then as Marvel got popular and it was lighter, they were like, lighten up Justice League. And he was like, I guess I could do it or whatever. He had some tragedy that happened in his life. I don't really want to go into it, but he had to leave the project about 3/4 of the way through it. And they brought in Joss Whedon, who was the director of the first Avengers
and the second
Avengers.
And the second.
Yeah. To kind of lighten things up a little bit. And then everyone kind of universally was like, Justice League. And then everyone was like, there's a Snyder Cut. There's a cut that he intended to happen with Darkseid in it, with a bunch of backstory. It's 4 fucking hours long. Intended, it was supposed to be 4 hours long. And they were like, we're off the rails. Get Joss Whedon, fix it. And everyone was like, fuck that. So with HBO Max, they are allowing Snyder to come back in to make the vision that he wanted. How do you guys feel about that? How do you feel about Justice League the way you got it? Did you like it? Oh,
no.
Look at Ryan's face.
Yeah. That movie was terrible.
What do you more terrible than Aquaman?
I didn't see Aquaman.
Wait,
I like
Aquaman was
I have a hard time believing that Aquaman was worse than Justice League. Justice League is obviously an abortion. That movie is it's schizophrenic. You can tell that 2 people were working on that movie. You can feel it.
What did you like more? The things that you thought were Zack Snyder, or the things that you thought were?
Oh, you're asking me if I think the Zack Snyder cut's going to make it better?
No. I want to know, like you're saying that this was made by two different people, so like you can clearly pinpoint the things that were Joss Whedon and the things that were Zack Snyder. What did you like more? Did you like the Zack or the Joss?
I hate to say it, but it was probably the Zack Snyder stuff because but that might not be Joss Whedon's fault necessarily, even though I'm not a huge fan of his, because he came in and like it's patchworked, so it's not it feels bipolar. So like you can tell that probably all the joke stuff was him.
Yes.
All the like lighthearted, jokey stuff that didn't work at all in that movie was him, but that's not. I don't necessarily blame him because the tone of the movie shifted so much, it didn't work. Like, so I don't know if Joss Whedon did the whole thing from the start. Maybe it would have been better than what you're going to get with this Snyder cut.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Like if he had been on it from the start, it probably would have been okay. But it's hard to have those two as the voices that you have in the room. It's like one guy's like yelling.
Have two different people. Right? They're like very different fucking...
Yeah. Other than their ability to direct big movies, they are, they're just not the same kind of auteur. Grant, what did you think about Justice League?
I don't think I've seen all of it. I keep watching, like I'll come in halfway and finish it, but there's always chunks. I have not seen all of it just because I can't watch it.
That's how I feel about the Godfather movies. They're so fucking long and everyone loves them so much that I keep coming into it halfway through and I'm like, I'm not going to start again. I'm just going to like patch it together and I get it. Ron, did you see Justice League?
I was saying in the beginning, I have not watched any of the DC movies. Not one.
Why?
I'm kind of just sitting this out and letting you guys go. I'll try to watch them as we go through week by week.
Well,
here.
Hey, here's the good news. Go get HBO Max or go on the dark web or whatever Ron does to get shit. And you can watch anything that you want, Ron. The world is at your fingertips.
Yeah.
The world is yours.
Yes.
So
I am going to get Max, actually.
I hated most of those Snyder movies, though. That's the problem.
What about Man of Steel?
Nah. No, you guys. I have had lengthy discussions about this, but let me just quickly surmise: if the man cannot save his father, then I can't watch this movie anymore because that is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in a Superman movie. The destruction, whatever, it's stupid. I didn't like it that much, but I just didn't love that movie. And then BVS was, man, that was a train wreck. And then, like, I will say that the problem with Snyder's movies is that some of it is good.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem, is that, like, Man of Steel has some good moments in it, and BVS had some great stuff in it, and then Justice League had some really great stuff in it. But what is 4 good scenes out of a 2.5-hour movie? What is that? That's not worth it to me. Can you just make like one good movie and not work? Can it just not be? That's where I think they figured it out with, like, even with Wonder Woman, where I felt the ending sucked on it. I felt they did pretty good throughout the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
Shazam.
Same thing.
What was the other one? Aquaman. It's like they managed to nail about 85% of it, whereas I think some of these Snyder ones are like 50%. Maybe. I don't think they're full. They're not full movies. They're not good all the way through, What
do you think of Zack Snyder as a director? Because, like, I was just thinking about, I wake up thinking about Zack Snyder almost every day. But today I woke up and was like, he does have a fucking good eye. He knows how to put together a compelling scene, but he doesn't know how to make those scenes tie together into a cohesive, awesome...
I just watched Sucker Punch recently again.
Oh, why? Oh.
No, but that's the thing. That's the problem with Zack Snyder movies, is you turn it on and you're like, I can watch this for, like, it's like, I wouldn't watch the whole movie, but the fact that I caught the last, like, 30 minutes of it, I was like, okay, I'll watch because I know I'm going to get like a couple of really big action scenes. No nonsense story throughout the rest of it. Like, it's nonsense. But the scenes are pretty and they look really good, and he knows what he's doing.
So who's a better person in that oeuvre, John? Is it Michael Bay or Zack Snyder? Who's a better
Zack Snyder?
person?
Zack Snyder by a mile.
That's
I
what I'm
would
saying.
watch Zack Snyder. I haven't watched a Michael Bay movie, and I can't even, except for like obviously Six Underground. But yeah, you're welcome. You're all welcome for that again.
Yeah. I mean, I watched Six Underground and I was like, okay, I get what he's doing, and it's just way over the fucking top. And then I found out that he was developing Lobo, and I was like, ugh. I would rather have Zack Snyder on any DC project than Michael Bay. Just flat out. Michael Bay is like pseudo-patriotic guy. Throw him on a Pearl Harbor or like an Armageddon. But like
God, that movie
Zack Snyder,
sucked.
he gets it. And I think Zack Snyder like genuinely loves the shit he's working on, as opposed to Michael Bay who's just kind of there doing Michael Bay
I wonder if
shit.
they had, if let's just say Snyder had started on a franchise for Marvel. I wonder if like it would be better because he would have had Feige sitting there like telling him what to do. And it's like he has to stay within that frame. Whereas like I think like you said, they gave Snyder too much like power.
Yeah, he was the guy. He was the fucking guy.
Yeah.
I don't think that he should have ever been the guy. I think that what DC lacks is a Kevin Feige. I think that they need someone that has the vision, and it's a comic book guy, it's an executive that knows what the fuck is going on, like Kevin Feige. Like,
I always assumed it would be somebody like Johns, but Johns hasn't really like been able to step up to that role. I don't.
I mean, and I don't want to talk shit about anyone, but I think that Johns is a great comic book like sculptor. I don't know if necessarily when you look at what DC does in comic books, if it translates into movies like 1-to-1, unless it's like Shazam, which I think Johns had a lot to do with. Ron hasn't seen any DC extended universe movies, but like, what's your guys' favorite? Ron, you could say Batman 1989 and be like, that's fine. Like,
I have to take it back. I realized I did see Shazam.
What'd you think?
It was a fun movie. Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
The way that I see the way that DC is kind of playing off Shazam is, even when he's a hero, he's still kind of a kid. I kind of expected him to be a little bit more mature, but that's fine. I mean, I understand that was a cool way of doing him and stuff like that. So yeah, kids watched it. They loved it.
Okay. I think that like 90% of DC movies fall apart in the fourth act. I feel like Iron Man 1 is the same way, where you're like, wow, we spent all of our money on this like big budget character development, and then like the last act, which is supposed to be fucking ginormous, like Wonder Woman, didn't do it right. None of the Batman movies,
Dave, with Iron Man, I actually just read something about Iron Man where they originally had planned to have Obadiah Stane go into number 2 and be the bad guy in 2. And then, and have, I believe Mandarin was going to be like the main dude in the first one. And then something happened somewhere in the development where maybe Marvel decided to kind of compress it a little more. And so they pushed Obadiah as the bad guy into the first one. But I think you're right. Like if they had actually known what they had on their hands and done Obadiah through 1 and then the bad guy in number 2, I think it would have been a much better.
Yeah. I think that there's like a executive commitment level, and it's nothing to do with the creatives, because I think that like, unfortunately, like the bean counters are the ones that are going to tell you what you can and cannot do. So you could come up with the best fucking thing ever and be like, yeah, this last scene's going to cost X amount of dollars. And they're like, nah. Like bean counters are like, it's got to be this. So you get what you get. You get Ironmonger at the end of Iron Man.
Don't you think though that the problem with these DC movies you're talking about the ending is that I don't even think that, like, if you're going to go with like Guardians of the Galaxy had Ronan, who was an actual man standing around in a suit, Whereas like all of these DC movies use total fucking CGI as their bad guys at the end. It's like really bad.
I'll tell you that Steppenwolf was the biggest dick punch
Awful.
ever. It's awful. It's awful. It
I
doesn't
didn't like what's his name in Wonder Woman either. What, Ares, I think, was the bad
Oh,
guy.
Ares.
Yeah, that wasn't good either.
That's the Ironmonger shit where you're like, wow, this doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. It's not epic enough. It's not like Wonder Woman is almost a perfect movie until that.
Right.
And then you're like, what the fuck happened?
The fight.
They could have totally done a cap with it where it's like more of like she has to try and save Steve Rogers or what's his name? Trevor.
Trevor, yeah.
Yeah, and she had to save him, but instead they went with the whole like, you know, her fighting the big guy or whatever, which I didn't like.
Challenge you guys to watch Birds of Prey, which is like 3/4 of the way through. You're like, this is a fucking awesome movie. It's great. And Suicide Squad's pretty good the same way. And then it's just like the last act, you're like, what the fuck did you guys do? Like,
right.
Where
I don't want to see at the end of Suicide Squad, I don't want to see the like fire guy fighting the like witch CGI at the end. It's like, that is so not what I wanted to see in this movie.
I don't want to fucking say that it's all DC. They're wrong, blah, 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 blah. But if you look at fucking Ant-Man, he fights a tiny fucking person at the end. If you look at Black Panther, he fights a Black Panther at the end. If you look at Iron Man, he fights an Ironmonger at the end. It's all the same fucking stupid Pixar shit. Not even Pixar shit, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like that shit where you're like, wow, you're just fighting yourself.
That's kind of unfair. That's a little unfair, though, because that's what the comic books are. The comic books, you're always fighting the polar opposite of yourself. Iron Man had armor wars, for God's sake, where he had to go back and get all his damn armor. It was all him. It's just all Iron Man's. And, I mean, it's stuff you pull, but it's just stuff you pull out of comic books, right? I mean,
it's tough. That's 1986.
Well,
that's all.
I mean,
I think there's a thing that you could fucking like. You could make it something different. Every one of those finales should be different. And I'm not saying that, like, and who the fuck am I? Marvel made $1 billion on this shit. Like, it's the formula that works for them, and it doesn't work for DC for some fucking reason.
No, I don't.
And I don't know what the difference is.
No, it's all editorial in terms of like who's in control of the ship. Nobody is in control of the ship. So the problem is that you have somebody, you know, Edgar Wright couldn't work with Marvel because he didn't want to give up his control over some of the story choices. But a lot of those guys do. They just will say, yeah, I'll do whatever you want. And so whereas like DC never had that guy, that Kevin Feige.
I was talking to a dude that's a pretty big producer out here in LA, and we went and got coffee, and he was like, look, man, I would love to be on a fucking Marvel movie. And I was like, why would you want to do that? Like, that is not your wheelhouse. He's like the animatics, he's like, the script gets written, the animatics get plotted out all the way through. So all the Russo brothers need to do is like go in and film it and make slight choices. So like, it's a guaranteed $1 billion paycheck if you're a director on a Marvel movie, because it's like already done. Like they already have it figured out. So
I think what's good about these Marvel movies is that, like you said, they have it all done. Then they call up like whatever guy, hey, you did a good independent movie. Why don't you come in here and we'll give a little taste of your style, but basically all the rest of it will be Marvel style. But like all the in-between stuff is going to be like girl empowerment or divorce or whatever.
Bridging all of the movies together or whatever the fuck
like
it is.
The Spider-Man, they've done a really good job of doing like teen movies, like a teen vacation movie and a teen movie. They've done good at finding people to kind of fit the wheelhouse of what style movie, and then they just wrap a Marvel movie around it.
Yep. That's 100% right. Now, does DC do that? Is the real question. No.
DC tries to really build it out of their characters. They try to like go like, oh, Aquaman. well, cool, we got an Aquaman movie. Like, they're not trying to like just sort of subtly move things in a certain direction. They're just like, you guys like Superman. Well, we got all of them. We're going to give you all of them, and there's going to be no mystery about it. And we're so far behind Marvel, we have to do this kind of a thing, you know?
I feel like that's the thing about Justice League was they were rushed because Avengers 2 probably came out and it made like a fuck ton of money. And it's like, DC's like, we need that. Why the fuck? We have Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman. Why the fuck can't we do what Marvel did with characters that no one gave a shit about before they made the movies? No one gave a shit.
But they killed
a Morbius movie.
I know.
And it looks amazing.
That's wild, by the way. That is seriously like dropping your balls on the table and just being like, we're making a Mobius movie or a Morbius movie. You love him, right?
So good, yeah.
Well, that's the difference too, though, is that Marvel like has the Sony and the Fox, and now that Fox got bought by Disney, it's different. But like Sony's still clutching to their fucking shit. Like they will not like. There was a like, not even like 6 months ago, there was a thing where like there weren't going to be any tie-ins with the Marvel universe because Sony bought back all of that shit, and they were like, we're not fucking touching Marvel, and everyone was in an uproar, kind of like they were with the Snyder Cut. It takes the fans to fucking like bitch about shit for them to be like, whoa, wait a second, maybe we shouldn't do that shit, you know? So here's my question to you about the Zack Snyder Cut. Is it going to be any better than what we've already got?
I have low expectations.
Low.
Ron's like, I don't even have expectations.
Can it get worse, though? I mean, maybe I didn't like this movie as much as you guys, but I don't know. I don't know how it could be worse than what we got.
I could literally watch Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman recite the alphabet and be like, that's fine.
Well, yeah, but you could just watch Wonder Woman, which is a way better movie, and she's prominently featured in it.
Sure.
Like, I would rather just watch that and not watch Justice League ever again. But I am morbidly curious to see what they do, because they may also make it episodes, right? Like they might not.
You're Morbiusly curious about this.
Yeah, I'm Morbiusly. Yes, yes.
All right, so let's go around, and except for Ron, because he's in an asylum, and we don't want to listen to a crazy person. Grant, what's your favorite DC? What's your favorite DC movie?
So early.
What does that mean?
Early would be Superman 2.
What do you mean? What does that mean? Don't.
Like,
what do you mean?
ever?
You know what that means. I don't know. It's Dave's dumb question. What
No,
Dave, give us the rules.
I'm gonna say the rules. You got early and you got late.
In the last
Early and
20
late.
years.
Okay.
So Superman
No,
doesn't
see,
count.
now there's
Donner
two rules.
Superman does not.
Sure it does.
Everyone would say Superman's
Yeah.
Donner. Come on.
So for me, it would be Superman 2. And then for new, it would be probably Watchmen. Wonder Woman's a close tie.
What about you, Bray?
So I can do that too. Old one, I would say I'll go with the original Superman. Although they're like it's supposed to be like one big movie. Original Superman, and then I would say Wonder Woman was probably my favorite current DC.
I like Batman '89 a lot, and that might be because I'm being contrary to Superman 1. Like you already picked it, so I'm like, well, Batman '89 is great. But I'll say my current. Fuck. Oh. It's gotta be
Green Lantern.
I don't like they're all the same. They're all the same to me. They're all like not that great to me.
You gotta pick one.
I have
This
to
is
pick
your
one.
idea. Why?
No, I'm just thinking how shitty they all are. I guess I'll say Birds of Prey. Birds of Prey.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. I'm gonna go with Swamp Thing, the original. Adrian.
You could have said
Barbeau.
Man Thing, and I would have been like, "Cool, okay."
Oh, come on, Adrian Barbeau, Swamp Thing. That's a great movie.
I love that every decision that you're making now is based on how often you've jacked off to something. So,
Oh,
cool.
baby, Adrian Barbeau's boobies in that is, wow, beautiful. You're right. You are correct.
Oh, baby. Oh, baby.
You are correct.
So
You're correct. Out of the current ones, I don't know. I mean, I got to say Dark Knight, I guess. It's the only one that I...
That's a good one.
That's fair. I'll say
and you
this,
know what? Honestly,
I completely forgot about those Batman movies.
I will say, I actually do not personally love the end of Dark Knight. Like, I'm not a huge fan of he has to get Lucius to turn on his sonar device kind of a thing, or the pinging of the phones. I didn't like any of that. I thought it was kind of dumb. And I didn't love the Two-Face stuff very much. But I will say the first 3/4 of that movie is probably as perfect of a movie as you can make.
That was the very first Batman where he had the white eyes, and that
Ooh.
sold it for me. Like, I fucking love that movie.
Yeah. It's a great movie.
I like Begins a lot, though, too.
Yeah, Begins is really good. I've been thinking about watching Begins recently. I actually been thinking about watching Dark Knight Rises again, because I haven't seen that one in a while. I only saw that one once.
If you like Ra's al Ghul and Talia, then 1 and 3 are like the shit, right? Because like at least you get a little like sprig of Talia, which is awesome.
Spoiler
I never
alert,
watched the third one.
I don't like Ra's al Ghul or Talia.
Oh, really? I love Talia. That's like my jack off fan. That is the evil crazy bitch.
How does Bane talk in the movie?
Oh, you're gonna tar.
That's how Bane talks in Harley Quinn.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way,
and they make fun of him all the time. They make him sit in the plastic chair instead of the nice chair.
That's great.
Oh, that's great. So, Ron, out of all of the oeuvre, like of DC things, you're going to be like, I love the Spider-Man cartoon from the 70s or whatever the fuck. But is there anything that you want to add to this before we fucking like talk about the Snyder Cut more?
Well, I have a question, but it might derail things for a while, so I don't know.
Please derail us.
Okay.
Derail us.
So, Marvel has its animation universe and its extended movie. DC has both the animation and movie. How do you guys feel about the DC animation compared to the Marvel animation? I've actually watched some of the DC animation, and I like that more than the Marvel animation.
Hands down.
I'm gonna step away, but DC animation 1,000 times better than
DC. Yeah. So we discussed this a long time ago on the show. I'm moving around, sorry. And this was back in the day. There was like a pretty much up like New Frontier. After that, there were a couple after that were really good, but it did kind of fall off a little bit. Like for a while, DC animation was operating at a level that was like unassailable, almost Pixar level, like perfection in terms of how good they were. And then I would say that they just kept putting them out and putting them out and putting them out. So they have gotten a little more watered down, but I watched that JL Dark Apocalypse one recently, and I thought it was incredible. So they and of course, Teen Titans Go is part of that universe too, which is really good. So
good.
Yeah, I Marvel animation, I don't watch. Honestly, I'm trying to think of any Marvel animation that I've watched.
There was the one, I don't even remember what it was called, but they did that one Avengers that was good.
Yeah.
That was probably the best thing they did. I forget the name of the show. But that was probably the best animation they did for Marvel. Because they were kind of aping like a JLU style is what they were going for.
Right.
And so they did okay.
Amazing Friends.
Well, yeah, I mean, Marvel, before, in the old days, Marvel had it on lock. Well, not necessarily, because Super Friends was like there too. We didn't even, I mean, dude, you didn't even mention DC has it on lock because of Justice League is like one of the greatest cartoons ever. I could rewatch that series over and over and over again.
Guys,
Ron, have you have you let the kids watch Justice League cartoon?
Yeah, well, we do the Lego movies, the Lego Lego.
Oh,
Batman,
those are fun.
stuff like that. We've done those, and they like Batman stuff. So I tried to get the less violent of the Batmans, because I know a lot of those get kind of crazy. But yeah, they're into the Batman stuff. The oldest told me he would pick Superman over any other superhero, which I was like, okay, it's time to start watching more Superman stuff then.
So I would recommend getting the Superman animated series, which like was pretty good, and then it rolls into Justice League Unlimited, which is
Justice League, it's the
best thing ever. It's
that Big B has devoured Justice League Unlimited, like both seasons, and
It's amazing.
he's watched them over and over again, actually. So that's why I was asking Ron, because I mean, he started watching those so when he was 7, so he was able to handle what was going on in there at 7. So I mean, it's a pretty good series, and it's a good way to introduce. They introduce a lot of characters.
Everything, everyone and everything is in that fucking series, and it gives you like the briefest of like whoever the writers were for that show, like did it right, because they gave you just the briefest of
JMD, Dwayne McDuffie, JMD Matee, they were all right. They were writing for it.
Yeah, they basically just like give you just a kiss of like who these characters are, and then let the characters tell you who they are, and it's
they would use some of the craziest characters on that show too. I mean, Two Gun Kid, like Booster Gold would pop.
Jonah Hex.
Like they did like Western Vigilante. I mean, they did crazy shit in that show.
It's a great show.
So
Crimson Avenger. Yeah.
So
Ron Dark Web, the Max Fleischer Superman series.
Oh,
that's a good one.
I have a DC Unlimited, and they're on there, so I've started watching those.
Yeah.
So the back to the Snyder Cut. Sorry that I stepped away, but like one of the things that they're talking about doing is releasing the Snyder Cut, because it's going to be 4 hours plus, is releasing it as half-hour episodes so that they can like bank on people subscribing to HBO Max. Do you guys think that that's a good way to tell that story, or do you think that like, yeah, great?
I think I could handle a 30 or what I'm guessing 30-minute chunk.
Yeah,
30-minute chunk of Snyder. Actually work out.
Really,
I think they should do episodes.
You think? I don't know. I don't think that what we're going to get is actually the Snyder Cut. I think that the Snyder Cut was what was intended for like the time, and what we're going to get is something that they were like, HBO Max is like, you should do this, and this is the way it's going to go. So it's not technically the Snyder Cut. It will not be what they intended the first time out. They're going to have to go through and like computer animate half of it, and the actors have signed on to do voiceover work, so they're all computer animated. Like,
but didn't they cut a lot of that movie?
Yeah, but a lot of it wasn't filmed yet. A lot of it was animatics, so they're going to computer animate the animatic shit just to tie it all together. What do you think of that?
Can't they afford? Aren't they giving them only $20 million? It seems like that would cost way more than $20 million.
They're going to give him like $30 million, supposedly.
But still.
Dude, they could crowdfund that shit. All they need to get is all those people that want the Zack Snyder Cut to come back in fucking Hollywood to do it. I don't know. I just don't know if it's going to be what we all think it's going to be and whether or not it's going to be good. So, John, do you think the Snyder Cut's going to be good?
I'll watch it. I really will. I'll give it a chance. I'll watch it. I'll like read about it. I'll do everything I need to do as a proper geek of the universe, but I don't think I'm going to enjoy it because I haven't enjoyed any of the other movies. So
I think it's going to be exactly what we think it's going to be, even if it's a half hour at a time. And that's all I got. Like, it's Snyder doing stuff on DC Universe. Ron, you've not seen a Snyder movie. You need to Pepsi challenge you. You got to go watch Man of Steel just to check it out. It's so.
Ron hasn't seen it. You haven't seen 300.
Oh, I saw that.
Okay, that's.
I don't remember much about it, but
did you watch Watchmen? Did you ever see Watchmen?
No. I'm not a big DC guy, so I didn't watch a lot of DC stuff. But I'm trying to get into it now since. Yeah.
What about Swamp Thing? Did you watch Swamp?
Yes, I did. So when you brought up teenager when that came, I'm gonna watch that. Those white T-shirts were bang. More two bangers than that one. Yeah.
What do you think? Are you going to be excited, or I imagine that Grant likes Zack Snyder as a director. I just imagine that, like, if he directed Fastlane, you'd be like, yeah, Zack Snyder directed Fastlane.
I actually liked Batman versus Superman. I thought it was a fun movie. I wasn't expecting it to be some major, tour de force movie anyways. So it met my expectations, and it had some cool, Dark Knight Returns-ish things in it. So it was a fun movie. I'm down with Zach. I don't think that Justice League's going to get saved by it.
Reshoots or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But Brian, what do you got on this? You got an opinion on this one?
I mean, I don't think it's going to be monumentally better. It may be a little bit more cohesive, possibly, or more difficult to understand. Yeah, I mean, who knows? It's a crapshoot, right? We don't know. I mean, this is the thing. I think
a crapshoot.
In this sense, I'm a little bit more where Grant is, in the sense of, like, I have to be very careful how I say this, but I mean, I did enjoy Man of Steel. You
do realize, John, by doing this, this is like Adrian at her, like, the last leg of her tour, bro. Like she was like, I'll do this fucking Swamp Thing shit, I guess. I don't even understand what the fuck it is.
That's funny. Oh my gosh. Like I actually liked most of Man of Steel, and I enjoyed parts of Batman versus Superman, but Zack Snyder does like to insert certain things that borderline destroy his movies. Yeah. And that's kind of the problem. Like, that whole Pa Kent, like, because they didn't want to do a heart attack, they did this other thing, but then you're like, that doesn't work.
No.
Like, it didn't work.
No.
But I liked most of what happened in that movie. So I kind of put that out of my head. And so for the most part, I enjoyed most of what Man of Steel had to offer, but that was a really bad part in that movie. Like, if they could edit that out, that would be fantastic. That's a Zack Snyder cut I'd love to see.
The Brian Roberts cut.
Yeah.
That shit.
Yeah. And, but he has those problems. Like, I think he has this idea, like, oh, this could be clever. But then you have, like, a Martha thing where you're like, I see where you were going with that, but it didn't really play out exactly the way I think you thought it would. And so he had these kind of issues in his movies where they kind of, like, he memes himself into oblivion with his movies. And so
he's right on the border of, like, and I mean, I say this knowing that he does do this, but he's on the border of stuffing too much into his movies.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that
it's not like Batman and Robin or Batman Forever. It's not that kind of thing where none of it really works. I'm talking, like, he kind of makes it work, but at the same time you think, bro, you could have taken out like 5% of this and probably this movie would have worked. But it's like, he just kind of he cannot just not stuff that last little bit in there.
Yeah. I actually think that, like, Batman versus Superman could have just been Batman versus Superman and not do
Totally.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
That's like stuffing too much in. And I was like, wow, this is just a whole nother movie.
Right.
Like, in. And they did it, I think, for Justice League. Maybe. I don't fucking know if that, I mean, who the fuck knows what they were thinking. But
all right. We should wrap this up soon.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
especially because nobody else wants to hear about this dumb Snyder cut. That's for damn sure.
Oh, you know who loves this shit? People want the Snyder. I would love. Okay, here's this. How about this? We end this. share it with your friends, subscribe, like us, and I want to know what everyone else feels about the Snyder Cut. We'll address it when we hear back from our fans to see what they think about the rest of it. I am not very optimistic about DC's
When's it supposed to be out?
future.
July?
No,
It's pretty far out. It's next year, isn't it?
next year.
What? No.
Next year.
Are you kidding me? Really?
Yeah.
Is that true?
They would have to do a lot of stuff to it still.
Yeah, no, it's producing a whole nother fucking movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's not till 2021. I thought it was like 2020.
Yeah. I think I'm going to like it more than I like Morbius, because who likes Morbius? I mean, no one. Oh, that's
Jared Leto's #1 fan right there.
Best Joker.
not even.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for joining us, and we will talk to you guys next week, where hopefully we get to talk about our favorite vehicles from movies
Woo!
and TV shows.
Here's the thing, though. If you guys also have shout-outs on that, now you know the cat's out of the bag. Spoilers. If you guys want to talk about your favorite vehicles, shoot them in the comments for this episode, and we'll address it next week.
Hopefully, I can get out of this submarine that I've been living in for the last week. That was a tough, way
Yeah.
worse than my engine, my choo-choo driver job that I had.
Do you have the scurvy, John? You got the scurvy being in there.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Peace.
Uh,
Talk to you guys later.
Bye.